Hey, today's video is going to be pretty short, at least I think. What I wanted to do is kind of introduce you to this project I'm about to begin, and it involves a Telecaster. I've kind of hinted at this in some of my previous videos, but I'll just go ahead and show it to you. This is a Fender Road Worn Tele body. It is made in Mexico, and it's finished in nitrocellulose and does have some aging on it, some relicking, but it's fairly light. It even has some checking in the finish as well. As the project goes along, I'm sure I'll show you some closer up footage of the body itself. And I will show you, as I'm talking, some pictures of this guitar from the website that I bought it from. So some of these pictures that I actually saw when I was looking for the guitar to buy it, I'll show you kind of what I saw online. So if you've kept up with my channel at all, you'll know that I recently built a Stratocaster out of parts, but I didn't just piece it together with pre-made parts. I got an unfinished body and an unfinished neck, and I finished them in nitrocellulose, black obviously color on the body. I did pretty heavy relicking on everything, and I aged all the hardware, you know, even the plastics and all that stuff. There are plenty of videos out there on this. There are about 30 or more videos detailing everything about this. So anyway, this is a new project that's not going to be as involved as the Strat project was. Now, to give you a little bit of history, I used to own a 52 reissue Telecaster back in, 2003-ish, something like that. And I had it for a pretty good long while, and eventually it got stolen from me. I don't remember, I didn't write down the serial number, so I've never been able to track it. I've never been able to find who stole it, unfortunately. It was a really nice guitar. And actually, I really didn't know what I had at the time. You know, I was single, I had a really good job, I had money to spare, and so I bought this Tele just, you know, off of eBay from this guy. I knew it was, you know, an American-made Telecaster, so I knew it was a good guitar, but as I owned it, I really didn't know, again, how nice it was, because the replacement Telecaster was not up to par. So this 52 reissue Telecaster was super lightweight. It was ash body. It almost felt chambered, it was so light. It had pickups that were wound by Lindy Fralin. So just a really nice, great Telecaster guitar. I've actually, I think, got a really old video on YouTube, if you for some reason want to look that up, of me playing this Telecaster, and it's really grainy, like, you know, 480 or worse quality. So needless to say, that guitar got taken away from me against my will, and I replaced it in time with an FSR Butterscotch Blonde Telecaster. So FSR stands for Fender Special Run, and Guitar Center has this guitar. They started it, I don't know how many years ago, but I think they still sell it, and it's a made in Mexico special run. It's got the control plate, as you would typically see on a Telecaster. It looks like this. The FSR Telecaster actually has it flipped around where the volume knob is closer to your playing hand, and the pickup selector is closer to the butt of the guitar. And it has ceramic pickups and that kind of thing. I've actually got a couple of videos out there where I compare that guitar's original pickups, the ceramic pickups, to some Wild Bill Keystone pickups. And I've also got one where I compare the brass saddles to Graphtec saddles. If you're interested in those videos, click up here on this little eye and it'll take you to it. So now back to this thing. I got this loaded body from the Stratosphere. If you're not familiar with the Stratosphere, what they do is essentially part out guitars, mainly Fender guitars. So they'll buy a Strat or a Tele or whatever, and they'll, Jazzmaster maybe, and they'll part it out. They don't always part it the same way. So they may sell an entire neck, you know, with the tuners on it. They may sell the neck without the tuners on it. They may sell the loaded body, as you see here, in my case, or they may sell just the body with everything stripped off of it. They may sell the pickups themselves. They may sell, if it's a Strat, the pickguard loaded with the pickups, that kind of thing. So what really interested me about the Road Worn Tele was the sort of tasteful relicking that was done. It wasn't over the top. It kind of leaves room for you to wear it in yourself. And obviously the fact that it's nitro. I personally favor nitro. When I built my Strat and finished it in nitro, I was really pleased with it. And you know, you probably heard about nitro letting the wood breathe. I'm not going to say that I 100% agree with that statement, but I pretty much 95% agree with it. I feel like any guitar I've ever played with nitrocellulose just kind of resonates more, and it feels like there's not this kind of blanket on it. So that's my personal opinion. I know everyone is entitled to theirs, so that is great. But one of the appealing things about the Road Worn Tele is that it's finished in nitrocellulose. So now why did I not just go ahead and buy the entire guitar? So one of the things I did not like about the neck on the Road Worn Teles is the fact that the radius is a 7 1/4. 7 1/4 is a traditional vintage style radius. It's more curved. And honestly, I've never really played, to my knowledge, a 7 1/4 radius neck, but I do know that I like a 9.5-inch radius neck. It feels comfortable. It's not too round. It's not too flat for a Fender style guitar anyway. So I was able to get this body for a pretty reasonable price. Again, it has all the pickups and controls and everything that you would need to just slap on a neck. I will likely change out the pickups to the Keystones that I already have. We'll see. These are Tex-Mex pickups. I've had Tex-Mex pickups and Stratocasters before, and I did not really like them. Especially in the bridge position, they were just too brittle and too bright. It just really wasn't to my taste. But I will give these a chance. Maybe they sound fabulous. I'm not sure yet. So long story short, I have this body here now, and my plans for the neck is that I have actually already ordered a neck from Musikraft. I ordered a neck from Musikraft for my Stratocaster, and I was really pleased with it. The thing I really like about Musikraft is they have a lot of options. Their website isn't spectacular. I have to say Warmoth has a much better website and much better user interface, but Warmoth actually doesn't have a lot of detailed options like Musikraft does, in my experience. For example, I'm pretty partial to a 1.65-inch nut on a Fender guitar. Warmoth just now started doing that, and I mean just now as in I ordered my Musikraft neck and then I checked Warmoth for some other reason a couple of weeks later, and they're like, hey, we now have 1.65-inch nuts available. Warmoth also does not do any kind of nitrocellulose finishing on their bodies. Granted, Musikraft has stopped doing that as well, just because it takes so long and it cuts down on production time, I guess, and all that stuff. So getting a nitrocellulose finished body is getting harder to do on sort of a custom basis without going to the custom shop per se, or doing it yourself. So one of the other things that Warmoth does not offer is the fret size that I like from Musikraft, which is a 0.09 on the width of the fret and 0.055 for the height of the fret. Now you'll see this typically called a 6105 fret. I think Dunlop makes one type of fret, and then there's another manufacturer, and the 6105 term gets kind of tossed around as a sort of typical medium tall fret, but the size that's the tallest and the most narrow is actually 0.09 by 0.055, and Warmoth does not offer this fret. Musikraft does. And there was just a couple other things where, I went down the road of getting a Warmoth neck, but I would just get hung up on certain things where it's like, oh, really? They don't offer this or they don't have that? And in the end, when I kind of summarize everything that I would want in a neck on Musikraft versus Warmoth, the Warmoth one came out a little bit more expensive as well. But I'm not bashing Warmoth. They have some great, fantastic bodies to choose from and necks. Just their finishes are amazing. They're here locally where I am in the same state anyway. So I would really love to use their products as far as the neck goes, but they just kind of fall short on the options for me. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to show you really quickly the pictures that I saw online from Stratosphere for this guitar body. And I'm even going to show you, as boring as it may be, I'm going to show you me opening up the box because, why not? I mean, we kind of never grow up, right? We're still kids and we still have toys. They're just different toys. Now, one of the other cool things about the Stratosphere, at least when I was looking for this Tele body, was that they actually put the weight of the body in the description. So in my case, I found out that this body was 5 pounds and 3 ounces is what they said. And I'm actually going to show you a little clip of me weighing this myself. I bought a little digital scale off of Amazon, and so I wanted to weigh and confirm the body weight when I actually received it. And it turns out, it truly was 5 pounds, and I think I had 2.4 ounces. So Stratosphere actually conservatively said it was 5.3 ounces, so they said it was a little bit heavier, but I wanted it to be as light as possible. And so I knew that sounds a little bit heavy for a body, but you have to consider that this body is fully loaded. So, it has the bridge plate on it, it has the pickups in it.
It has the knobs, has the plate, it has the strap pins, right? It has the pickguard on it.
And all that stuff.
The back plate for the neck and the screws.
It just has more weight than a stripped down bare Telecaster body would have. Now also in a little bit of research that I did, I found out that a typical Fender style neck with the tuners on it weighs about 1.5 pounds. And so I was able to, and I'll show you this in a little clip, I had a spare Jazzmaster neck from my Squier Jazzmaster sitting around, and I also had some tuners. So I weighed the neck and I weighed the tuners on my scale, and it came out to be about 1.5 pounds. So when all is said and done, this guitar should be around 7 pounds, which is great. That's a pretty lightweight guitar, and that's what I was going for. And that's one thing about the Future 2 reissue that, you know, as I said, it was super light. The Butterscotch Blonde FSR Telecaster, the Mexican one that I got from Guitar Center and had for a while, was really heavy. I actually never got a chance to weigh it, but it felt more like a Les Paul. It was, you know, it was made out of ash, but ash can vary in weight an immense amount from my experience. So that was a great thing about the Stratosphere and purchasing this body from the Stratosphere. I knew exactly what I was getting as far as weight goes, and that was important to me. So that's really it for this video. Obviously, I've got to get a neck for this thing. I have actually ordered it. I ordered it about a month ago, and as of like yesterday, I believe, the neck is on its way. Today is a Monday. It's supposed to be here this Friday. So I got this neck unfinished. Musikraft does not warranty necks that are unfinished because there's nothing to seal them and keep them from warping. I didn't have any problems with my Strat neck that I purchased like that, so I'm just praying that there's nothing wrong with this one. I don't really suspect that there will be. You know, they put it in a nice plastic bag and they seal it well, you know, in a cardboard box with the little styrofoam pieces and everything to protect it. So I'm not expecting that there'll be anything wrong with it. So really quickly for my Strat, I'm just gonna kind of give you an overview of this whole project again. I'm gonna get into the details in other videos, especially like the neck details, all the specifications. But one thing about this Strat is that the neck I finished it in was a vintage amber tint from Stuart McDonald. And the thing about the vintage amber is it can go on pretty orange if it gets out of hand, if you get too much on it. This is a little bit orange. It's not really bad. I'm satisfied with it. It does kind of have, you know, a vintage feel, and, you know, I think as necks typically age over time, they get a little bit darker. So I'm satisfied with this, but I wanted to try something a little different for the Telecaster. So instead of vintage amber, which I actually have almost an entire bottle of it left, I purchased aged clear from Stuart McDonald. Now this is supposed to be more of a vintage Fender neck finish. So I haven't sprayed it yet. I'm going to test it on a piece of wood, whatever scraps I can find. I do not have, you know, the same piece of maple that my neck is going to be made from, so I can't truly test it like that. But I figure that if I can just find a bare piece of wood, I will get an idea of what this thing is going to look like. And as far as the finishing and the process that goes along with that, we'll get into that in other videos. Oh, and I will say too that I have already changed out the saddles on this body to the brass compensated. These are actually Goto compensated brass saddles to where they actually have the grooves for the strings, and they are turned in special ways where you get a little bit better intonation. So what came on the body are these steel saddles. These are actually a lot smaller in diameter, and I believe that brass is supposed to be warmer and steel is supposed to be a little brighter. So some people will put the steel saddles on their lower, when I say lower, I mean lower in pitch strings, like the low E and the A strings. Some people will put the steel on those, and then they'll put brass on the other strings. For now, I'm just going to keep brass on everything, and we'll see how that goes. The good thing is I now have both the brass and the steel, so I can kind of pick and choose what I want. I really don't think I'm going to be that picky about it. I'll probably just keep the brass on it. And finally, the only other thing I have for this project right now is the tuners. These are Goto's 6-in-a-line vintage aged nickel tuners. So with my Strat project, I personally relicked all the hardware. I bought it new and shiny and chrome and nickel, and I went to town on it, and I used solutions. I used hydrochloric acid and vinegar and stuff like that, and I aged it myself, and it turned out really great. But for this, I knew that Goto actually made relic tuners, and so I was trying to find just a good price on them, and I thought, hey, you know, if it's already been done and I can still get them for cheap, why not? So I got these off of eBay, and I paid about $45 for them. There's actually a sticker on here that says retail $65, and then there's a price that says $57.99. These are American dollars, but I actually got it for $46 on eBay, so it's a pretty good deal, I thought. And I have these same tuners. Again, the ones I bought for my Strat were not relicked, and I relicked them, but they are Goto, and they work just great. I'm very satisfied with them. So that's it for now. I hope you'll come along for the ride and join me on this project. Obviously, this is probably not going to be exactly what you want to do for a project, but it might give you an idea, you know, to say, well, I got this great neck, I want to get a body for it. Maybe I don't want to finish it myself. Check out Stratosphere or eBay or something like that, or reverb.com. Maybe somebody's selling a body that you want, you know. So maybe these videos will help you in that way. Or maybe you just want to come along for the ride and you want to geek out with me and build a Telecaster. As always, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you will, and we'll see you in the next video. Well, before I could finish editing this video, the neck from Musikraft arrived. I've already taken out of the box. However, there is an issue. It could be a deal breaker. Stick around for the next video to find out if I keep this neck or not.
I don't have it figured out, but I take